Hey guys, Zach here, and welcome back to another edition of Godzilla Month, and today we'll be taking a look at the 2007 game Godzilla Unleashed. Now, as a kid, this was my favorite video game of all time. There was not a single video game that I liked more than this. You know, every day before school started, I would wake up at like 6 or 5 in the morning, probably even 4, and I'd just go downstairs to play this. And that was such a magical time. I played the game recently, and my thoughts have changed. Does this game hold up, or is it a bad game and should be left in the past? I think I have the answer to that, but before we go into that, let's talk more about the game. Starting off with the story. And the story of this game is not crazy at all. Basically, crystals fall from the sky, or they fall from outer space, and they start, messing up the world. Tokyo gets flooded and has really bad tsunamis. London, I had a brain fart there for a second, I apologize. London, for some reason, gets levitated into space. Okay. Seattle gets flooded with lava. Sydney becomes a frozen wasteland, and so on and so forth. And while all this is going on, an alien species called the Vortak come along, and they try to take over Earth. And it's up to the monster that you play as to stop both the crystals and the aliens. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the story. It's not the best in terms of story, I'll say that. But when it comes to video games, I don't really care. As long as the game is fun, then, that's all that really matters, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, the story's not the best, but that's not necessarily a problem. Now we'll move on to the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is very good. I especially love Mecha King Ghidorah's theme, Baragon's theme, and Mogira's theme. Jaguar's theme is pretty good too, but yeah. For the most part, the soundtrack in this game is pretty good, and it actually sounds a lot like something you would hear from Transformers Devastation, which also has a very good soundtrack. So, yeah. The soundtrack gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the playable monsters, and the playable monsters, well, let's just say there's over 25, and that's honestly great. You have a lot of monsters from the old movies, and you even have monsters that are completely new to this game, which would be Obsidious and Crystalak. I don't like them at all. To me, they're just these generic made-up monsters just thrown into this game, which, again, isn't really a problem, but I just really don't like them. I normally don't play as them, so yeah. I usually play as Godzilla. Actually, that's actually a really cool thing. There are 3 different playable Godzillas in this game. You have Godzilla 2000, which is the one on the cover here. You have Godzilla 90s, and then you have Godzilla 1954. I'd prefer to play as Godzilla 90s or Godzilla 1954 because they're literally clones of each other, or Echo characters, because of the new Smash Brothers coming out. But yeah, they're basically the same, so yeah. It doesn't really matter which one I play as, just I play as them. However, you can't play as them through the story, which is a real shame, but the thing that confuses me is that you can play as Godzilla 90s in the PS2 version, so yeah, whatever. The stages in this game, there are only 9. You have 25, actually no, over 25 playable monsters, but you only have 9 stages. You have San Francisco, Sydney, Osaka. You have New York, Monster Island, and Seattle. You have Tokyo. You have the Vortak mothership, and then you have London, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing, there are different things about them in terms of like scenery, but for the most part, they're, well, I guess that's the point of the stage, to be as different from each other as possible, both visually and, design-wise, which they are, but again, they're still bland in my opinion. I mean, yeah, London is in space right now, or while you play the game, and, Seattle is, flooding with lava, but again, they're not as interesting for me, but yeah. The gameplay for this game, I'm going to end off with, the gameplay for this game is, well, I'm just going to say it right now, it's not the best. Now, don't get me wrong, the gameplay isn't bad. There's just one thing that I'm not the biggest fan of, which would be the motion controls. I do not like motion controls in video games. I prefer just to grab a controller and push the buttons. I don't like swinging around just to have the main character move or whatever. I just like, pushing the buttons. That's been a thing since, like, ever since video games have been invented, basically. So, yeah. And I get that was the point of the Wii, but I feel like if you took all the monsters that were playable in this, added all the elements from this game, and threw them into the PS2 version of the game, then I feel like that the PS2 version would be the one that everybody wants, but people really want the Wii version because it has a lot of, new things that are a lot better in this version. What am I trying to say? There are better things in this version than there are in the PS2 version. There are a lot more fun mechanics in this game. Not really in terms of like the motion controls, but there are like minor things that do add to the story. In the PS2 version, it's just, the same fight the monster. But in this game, you also have to destroy certain things. And it's also in the PS2 version, okay, that's kind of a lie. The only time where you have to destroy something is in the third level, where you have to destroy these ice towers that are destroying Sydney, but other than that, I mean, what am I trying? I am an idiot, guys. I apologize. Okay, I'm just gonna move on. So, yeah, motion controls aren't really the best. There's also something else I really don't like, where basically, there's this lock-on feature where you lock onto a specific monster, the monster you want to fight. Which sounds good, but the thing is, the game chooses it for you. Let's say you need to defeat a specific monster, but instead you target, onto another monster that you're not supposed to be fighting. And that gets very annoying. So every time you're trying to punch the other monster, you end up punching, the monster that you're not supposed to kill. And that happened to me a lot, which is very annoying. But other than that, the gameplay is still very fun, and I do like it a lot. It's not the best gameplay I've ever, played, but it's still fun. But, again, it would have been better if it was just normal controller gameplay. So, yeah. The story is meh. The soundtrack is good. The playable monsters, great variety. Stages, not really great variety. And the gameplay is decent. I'll say it's decent. In conclusion, does this game hold up to when I was a kid, or is it something that should be left in the past? I'll say this. It's not my favorite game, It's not as good as Sonic 3, or Donkey Kong Country, or Super Mario World, or Toe Jam and Earl, or anything like that. But this is still a decent game. It wouldn't kill you if you bought it and played through it. There's not much in terms of, playability. If you have a friend to play this with, then that's really fun, but if it's just you, the only fun you're going to get out of this is just trying to go back and unlock everything. And after that, the game gets pretty dry real fast. So, it wouldn't kill you if you got this game. There are better Godzilla games out there. But, again, this game is just okay. My favorite Godzilla game of all time is actually free on the computer. All you have to do is go to Google. This isn't a shout out to the AMW studios or anything like that made this game. Just go on to Google and look up Godzilla Daikaiju Battle Royale. It's free to play. You can play it whenever you want during school. You might get in trouble. That happened to me before, but yeah, during school, at home, or whatever. You can't play it on a phone, which is kind of a bummer, but you can't play it on a computer, so yeah. It's a good game. In terms of gameplay, there's nothing much, and again, in terms of story, there's nothing much, but the variety of playable monsters that are in the game, and a lot of other things that just really make this game, for me, just amazing. This game was alright in terms of playable monsters, but this game is basically this, but 2D and multiplied by 2. So, yeah. That game, it's still not the best, but I still like that game a lot more than this game. So, yeah. If you don't have this game and you want to try it out, it wouldn't kill you if you bought it. It's not the best Godzilla game, as I just said. In fact, I think the PS4 game looks better than this, but I haven't played it. So, yeah. I'd say, because I haven't played the PS4 Godzilla game yet, I'd say, if you want to get this game, it wouldn't kill you, so go right ahead. On eBay, it's like, I think like 20 or like 30 or so bucks. On Amazon, it's pretty pricey, but eBay, it's pretty cheap. So, yeah, I'd say go for it if you want. If you can find it for a good price, definitely go for it. But if you want a better Godzilla game, I'd recommend either trying out the PS4 Godzilla game or Godzilla Taikaiju Battle Royale. So, yeah. Anyway, that is basically it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next edition of Godzilla Month. Peace, Zach out.